Hey, good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of the Ride Along Radio Show here on the Morris Media Network. My name is George Holt.
I'm Gil Contreras.
And the premise of our show is that you have two former police officers with a lot of experience between the two of us. And you'll find that we are willing to speak on topics that impact law enforcement and the community in a way that is pretty unrestrained.
Yeah, it's
actually.
Unfiltered.
It's unfiltered, it's unrestrained. And it's not, when he says filtered, it's not filtered by the department. It's not filtered by the public information officer at the department that you see standing with the nice uniform on and has got the talking points from the chief in their hand and reading the crib notes and just basically parroting whatever they've been told to say by the administration. We have no constraints.
And the no filter of political correctness. So there's some things that are politically incorrect to say in America today because everybody's so goddamn easily offended. However, if you listen long enough, the guy in the green shirt, not this one, that one, may offend you at some point.
Yeah, I hope so. If I don't say something that offends you, then just let me know. I'll try harder next week. And the same thing with Gil. I think we have something for everyone here today. So,
of course, the most offensive guy
is not here today.
Kent Lee.
Kent Lee's not here today. Kent's our guy. He wasn't able to make it this week, so we're going to be without Kent for a couple of weeks as he hunkers down in the bunker.
Yeah, I think everybody should have an angry white male friend. Everybody needs one.
Well, I've got a lot. So if anybody wants to borrow some, I can send a couple of mine your way because I probably have too many, actually. But not Kent. I got to keep Kent. So,
yeah, he aight.
Yeah, we got to keep Kent Lee.
As we say in the ghetto.
Yeah, he aight. Yeah. So anyway, so we're going to dive into our topics, and we start off with a recap of last week. Last week we had the legalization of marijuana, and I was actually expecting to get some pushback on social media about that. I mean, we got some stuff leading up to the show, people talking about yes, definitely, and no, hell no, and et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't see much pushback afterwards. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought Tamara was gonna. I thought she was doing more. I thought she was running a dispensary or something. And
No, she's just speaking from personal experience. And see, that's what I liked about it is because she doesn't have a profit motive. You know what I mean? She's not pushing it to line her pockets. Her thing is, hey,
unlike me, my motive is to find dope.
Right. See, there you go. Right. Yeah, right. There you go. See, so it was very even-handed. But no, she came from the perspective of someone who has found a medicinal use for it. Someone who started off with a law enforcement background.
Right.
And so now is got a whole different perspective on it based on her life experiences now.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's any argument from anyone that there is some medicinal purpose for marijuana. I think that discussion is over. We all know that it is.
Well, I'd like to think that nobody is not aware of that at this point. I would like to think that.
The reason that I and people like me are against the quote legalization close quote for recreational use is the ongoing war on drugs that we're still engaged in. We have an insurgency happening in Mexico, and because there's so many pot smokers in America, because America needs to be so doped up, we've made the cartels richer than the damn government down there, and the government can't control them. They can't stop them. And this beautiful wall that Donald Trump wants to build.
With a door in it.
It's going to be a beautiful door, though.
Yeah, it's a beautiful door.
It's going to be beautiful, and if you knock.
Right. And wait in line.
And come in legally.
Right.
We're going to open and we're going to welcome you in. However, if you're trying to smuggle dope, guns, money, people over that border, as what's happening right now, every day on a daily basis, we're going to close that door.
Well, okay, so then I would ask you, how do you respond to the comment that everything you just said, all the negatives, are because it's illegal? If it became legal, then the cartels wouldn't be able to sell it any more than they sell Coca-Cola or bubble gum. They don't sell cigarettes or beer because it's illegal, right? You can get it at Walgreens. So the argument is that making it legal for recreational purposes or whatever would then knock the legs out from under the cartel, just like we did with organized crime when we repealed prohibition.
I don't think it's going to knock the legs out of the cartel. All we've done is we've taken.
Either it's fueling them or it's not.
And we've seen it in Colorado already, as people are using this quote legal system close quote to now become drug dealers.
Right, because it's illegal in the states around them. But if it was legal everywhere, then it wouldn't.
But
be a
they're
big
still
deal.
buying it out of these dispensaries and then selling it.
Right, because it's not legal in those other places.
A lot of wherever they're selling it, they're selling.
Well, they're selling in Montana, all the states that surround.
No, you don't have to go that
Utah,
far.
the states that surround Colorado.
There's other people who want to smoke weed who don't want to get a 215 card in California. I know because me and my doggy, we've done some Section 8 housing stuff.
Right.
And that's the big, that's the big push. Number one, it's a Schedule I drug. Number two, the federal government, Obama's administration, has a zero tolerance for use of narcotics and criminal activity on government subsidized housing.
That just started with Obama?
No, it didn't just start with.
Okay,
Obama. I'm just saying this is the federal government.
Right, sure.
It's the feds. It's their thing. It's not mine.
Right. Okay. I just want to say that
I just have to come in when it gets too much. When it gets to be too much.
Right.
I get the call. Gil, can you and Rhonda show up
and find some weed?
They going crazy down here, and we do a round and knock on a couple doors because Rhonda's so good she can smell it through the wall. We had a kid who was smoking weed in his bedroom looking at TV, and we're walking down the hallway, and she's in search mode, and she starts, clawing at the wall, and there was a fire extinguisher on the wall.
Okay.
And so on the other side is the kid's bedroom. It's coming through.
It's a breach in the wall.
Exactly.
They can stick the fire extinguisher in the cabinet.
And so she's, so I said, hey, she wants to get in that. So they opened the fire extinguisher. And there's nothing in here. Okay, then it's on the other side.
And you guys couldn't smell anything? You couldn't smell anything in the hallway?
Couldn't smell it.
Wow. Well, they say the dog sense of smell is 400 times, right?
It's just incredible. When you watch them work, it's really incredible to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen dogs find people in the airport with the explosives on them in a crowded airport. The guy walked by 5 minutes earlier. Mm-hmm. Then we send the dog, and the guy is sitting down someplace, and the dog goes right up to him. The dog's never seen the guy before. We just send the dog, and the dog can follow that explosive odor to get to that individual and sit down right in front of him. It is incredible.
It's incredible to watch him work.
So so we recapped last week.
I just think in my boo, who y'all was talking about earlier,
Le Boo,
Le Boo from Paris.
Yeah.
She told me when she watched it, she said, I wanted more. I wanted more facts. I wanted more data.
Okay.
And so I think.
Well, Tammy had some good data though. She came with sheets of paper.
Right.
We just didn't get into a lot of it, but she had some good facts and figures on tax revenue, especially.
Right. But I didn't. I didn't have the the counter to some of those numbers and what's happening in Colorado, because there is an argument about adolescent use of marijuana because their brain's not fully developed to age 21.
That's huge. That's a huge thing.
And
that's a real thing as well.
Exactly, and that does present a problem. That is a medical issue.
And that's even worse than alcohol for a developing brain.
So, and we find that in adults, or not male adults, but just adults in general, 25 or over, you don't see any of that. You don't have that kind of.
Well, that's why it's got to be. Brain. Well, not that they're going to wait because they don't wait to drink.
They're not waiting. They're not waiting already.
Right, they're not waiting to drink. So right, exactly. Hey, if you got any questions or commentary on any of this, call-in number is 323-293-3375. We usually give that at the beginning, but we just dove right into the matter at hand here.
Yeah, one of these schools in Inglewood, we were over there a year ago. Me and Rhonda and I were over there talking to the principal, and we were talking about bringing my dog into the school there. And as soon as we got onto the campus, Rhonda could smell it. And so she starts pulling and barking, and she's like, okay, I know what we're doing here. I want to go get it because she wants her toy. And, and the principal told me that, that's our biggest problem. We just have there's so many kids carrying pot, storing pot in their lockers, smoking in the.
And that's the thing. You have no expectation of privacy in a school locker. I don't understand why they didn't. Well, I guess they're kids.
Well, they don't think anybody's going to come get it.
Yeah, that's true.
And, and if your parents are all smoking at home because they got a 215 card. What's the big deal?
Well, what you do it at home.
What you talking about, Willis? Ain't that big a deal?
Well, do it at home, man.
Better get that dog away from me.
Okay, so listen, we have a news of the day segment we usually do, but that might take us right into our topic today, which is Beyonce's Black Panther dance party at the Super Bowl that we saw past Sunday. So let's do your TV show review first.
Well, I'll get to OJ, but just in terms of news of the day, there's just a couple of quickie things that I want to mention. First of all, I was just appalled that, for all the money that we are spending on surveillance and the NSA and the FBI and counterterrorism, I just read a story that says the FBI can't figure out how to open the encrypted phone of the terrorists in San Bernardino.
Right, that's incredible.
So these guys, we don't know who they called, who they're talking to.
See, I don't believe that.
If there are any co-conspirators, I believe it.
Mm-mm.
It's the feds.
No, I don't believe it. And here's why I don't believe it. I think that this is, and I hope I'm not giving up too much game here, Mr. President, but I believe that they're saying that to lull people into a false sense of security. Like they spread a rumor that, we can't crack this app. And they were all using this app.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, it's a government app, and they just said that to get you to use it. So you'd be basically giving them a copy of everything you did. So hopefully that's the case here. And they don't want the co-conspirators to know that they're getting ready to kick down their door tomorrow morning.
Look,
hopefully.
That's how rumors get started.
Yeah, started by the jealous people, right?
I don't know. I believe that the FBI can't open the dang phone, and we're no safer.
Well, we'll see if people start coming up missing or there starts being arrests and whatever else. I mean, a lot of stuff will be put out in the media, and it's really the result of somebody telling on somebody, and they don't want to say that's how they got the information, so they'll generate it another way to kind of protect the identity of the snitch. I mean, the informant.
I'll grant you
so
there may be some.
I'm just hoping. But I don't believe they can't get into somebody's damn phone.
I believe it.
What kind of phone do they have? They got like an iPhone 10 or something?
I don't know. I don't know, man. But and so the other two quick stories that gang-related shooting in Compton with a little girl or the baby. She got shot in the face and passed away.
Like a little toddler, just out of infancy, right?
Yeah, she was young, and the father's a gang member, and he said today, that bullet was probably meant for me. I didn't know that the last conversation I had.
I'm glad that he realizes that.
Yeah, well, it's a little late, but
I know, but at least he realizes that, and maybe this will spur some change.
No, it's not.
In him.
What it's going to spur is revenge. We're going to have another shooting as revenge for this.
Well,
however, but my question is, where's Black Lives Matter? Where's Al Sharpton?
Well,
where's the media?
Where's
the cameras? Where's the protests? Where's the sit-ins, the teach-ins, the walkouts?
Here's what I say to that, because people always say that. How come Black Lives Matter isn't saying so? How come Al Sharpton's not saying something? Because a gang-banging thug.
But before you even go on, I'm going to tell you what I heard on the internet. The reason you don't hear anything, and this was posted by a black guy, the reason you don't hear anything.
I don't mean he can speak for everybody, but go ahead.
But the fact that he's black and understands this, and so many other black people don't understand, this just boggles my mind. But he wrote, there's nothing to see here, no white cop involved. That's why.
Okay, and you know what? Let me say this. I will agree with that about 15%. I was going to say 10%, but I'm going to say 15%. And here's why. People expect gangbangers to kill people. Nobody has any expectation that they'll conduct themselves any better. That's what they do. They're criminals. They commit crimes.
Okay.
They murder people. Okay? So it is not the affront to our sensibilities as human beings, as citizens, as members of a community, as when someone who's not supposed to do that sort of thing, a police officer kills somebody. People are saying, wait a minute, you're supposed to be protecting us. See, nobody has the expectation that the Crips are going to protect you. Okay? Nobody has an expectation that a gangbanger will be anything but a gangbanging murderer. So that's why that's not getting that kind of response. Now, with Al Sharpton, he's got a whole nother thing. He's got a whole nother profit. Hey, is this going to get some money in my pocket? Is this going to give me some publicity? But in terms of your grassroots movements, in terms of people getting energized to protest it, yeah, people should be pissed off. But you protest, and then what happens? Dude, who do you hold? I'm asking you. So who do you hold accountable when a Crip shoots somebody in the face? Who do you hold accountable for that?
The dang community.
How does the community hold him accountable for that?
The dang community does, because these criminals are. It's not the government. It's not white people. It's people within their own community who are preying on each other.
Right.
It's their sons, their brothers, their fathers.
And I totally agree with you that black lives have to matter to black people first. Totally, you'll get no argument from me about that. But when we say how come we don't see the same outcries when a police officer kills somebody, that's because there's still shock and outrage when a police officer kills. And thank God people are still outraged.
But wait a second.
Thank God people don't just accept it like they accept gangbangers doing it, because then we would be no better than the gangbangers.
If officers were killing toddlers in drive-by shootings, I could agree with you. But that's not what's happening. Most of these high-profile shootings, not all of them, but most of these high-profile shootings that began in Ferguson all begin with one thing: criminal activity. Somebody calling 911 and calling the police and saying, hey, there's something going on over here in my community that you guys need to come take care of.
And I think about this, though. How many people did we see killed and we were working the streets? How many people did we, our co-workers, whoever, other law enforcement officers kill, and there were no protests? Plenty. Okay, I've stood over people who've been killed by the police, and didn't even make the news. Okay, if it did, it was a little blurb, and nobody got all fired up about it. Because typically, it's a clean thing, and there's no doubt about it. But when you have something like somebody's walking away from a police car with a pocket knife, and he gets shot 16 times. When you have something like a guy gets pulled over, he's got warrants for child support, he runs away and gets shot in the back. People are going to get tired of that. Eventually, somebody's going to say something, right?
That guy who chased a guy and dropped the taser, and he's a criminal. He's a dumbass. That guy belongs in prison.
You're talking about that police officer that murdered Walter Scott.
That's correct.
Okay.
He belongs in prison.
What about the officer in Chicago?
Just like Lee Baca. He belongs in prison.
He's one of our news of the day stories, too. We're going
to get to Lee. We're going to get to brother Lee. Leroy. We're going to get to him.
Yeah.
But Michael Brown, who started this whole thing, even in the Trayvon Martin case, even though it didn't involve a police officer.
It didn't.
It all begins with a crime and somebody calling the police.
Okay, but now let's talk about that. Hold on. Let's talk about that because you brought Trayvon Martin up. What crime did Trayvon Martin commit that brought him to somebody's attention?
He assaulted George Zimmerman.
Listen to my question. What crime did he commit that brought him to George Zimmerman's attention? What crime did he commit?
Okay. I see.
I'll wait. Don't worry. I'll wait.
I see what we're going to do here.
Hold on. I'll wait.
So George Zimmerman, who was the what do you call it? Neighborhood Watch captain guy.
But you said You said that it all started with a crime. I'm asking you what the crime was.
I'm going to get to the crime.
Okay.
You either have reasonable suspicion or probable cause.
What?
And then you see if you have a crime or not.
Wait, who does that? Who has reasonable suspicion or probable cause?
Police officers.
Okay, and George Zimmerman was not a?
He was not a police officer.
Okay, I just want to hear you say it. Okay.
However, a citizen can make an arrest. 836, 837, there's a thing called the California Penal Code. If you look it up, the sections, you'll find that a citizen can make an arrest or a private person can make an arrest, and the elements of those arrests are very similar. It only differs slightly when it comes to felonies. But that's besides the point. The point is, Trayvon looked suspicious to George Zimmerman, who lived
based on George Zimmerman's training and experience, or no training and no experience?
He had whatever experience and training the police department gives him to make him a neighborhood watch guy.
So nothing.
I don't know because I don't know.
So nothing. He sat through a PowerPoint. Go ahead.
I don't know Florida. I don't know what they trained him to do or not do.
Right.
So once he calls and he's following him, and the lady says, "Hey, are you following him?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Okay, well, we don't need you to do that." He says, "Okay," starts to go back to his car. As he's going back to his car, yes.
No, you're telling it out. See, you conveniently moving things around.
No.
He said he was going to get out of the car to follow him, and she told him to stay in the car.
No, he was already following her.
He was following in the car.
He was following him.
He was following him in the car, and he said he's going to get out. He said, stay in the car. They told him to stay in the, not go back to your car,
You better go back and listen to the 911 tape.
Stay in the car.
That's not what happened.
911, I'm talking about the tape before when he called originally.
He was already on foot when he called 911. They told him, are you following? He said, yes. He says, we don't need you to do that. So he said, okay, I'm going back to my car. While he was going back to his car is when he got assaulted.
Okay.
The reason the shooting turned out to be a good shooting is because...
Explain what you mean by good.
Within policy. It wasn't, people talk a lot about the stand your ground laws in Florida and we got to change these laws. And it wasn't even a stand your ground case. It was a straight up self-defense case. The reason George Zimmerman got off, and I posted it after I listened to all the 911 tape, not just a modified version by the media to try to get you to think something was happening. I listened to the whole thing and looked at the photos, and when Trayvon Martin straddled George Zimmerman, he broke his nose and he was bouncing his head off the pavement. That's when George Zimmerman just pulled it out.
Right, because he couldn't take an ass whooping. I understand. You get your ass beat by a 17-year-old boy and you got to shoot him. But okay,
well, if that's the way you want to,
I was raised different, but I don't know. That's just me.
If that's the way you want to characterize it, that's one way to characterize it, I suppose. However, he had the injuries and he had the broken nose. That's why his statements with the physical evidence and the witness who called 911, they all matched. There was no crime there. That's why George Zimmerman didn't go to jail.
Well, we just got a tweet from Ismail here. It says, blacks that kill blacks are going to prison. The problem is others aren't going to prison for the same killing. So a lot of people have said that, and thank you, Ismail, for the tweet. A lot of people have said that this is why you see the focus on the white cops or the white non-cops even, or the half-white non-cops in George Zimmerman's case, is that if that had been a black teen killing another black teen, that black teen would have gone to jail. or that black person would have gone to jail.
Half of those shootings in Chicago go unsolved, for God's sakes.
Okay, but but somebody's investigating them as murders and not saying it's cool, right?
They're investigating, but if the community won't talk to the police, if the community won't tell, then you go, okay.
No, we're talking about when an arrest is made.
Everybody knows who.
When an arrest is made.
Everybody knows
when an arrest is made. There's plenty of dudes sitting in prison right now for murder. So arrests are being made and people are going to prison.
Right.
Hey, we got to take a break. Give us a call, 323-293-3375, or send us a tweet at Right Along Radio. And we're going to delve into the OJ Simpson show, and we're going to get into our News of the Day segments. And then we're going to talk about Beyonce's Black Panther dance party at the Super Bowl. All right, so we're back here at the Right Along Radio show at Morris Media Network. And again, our calling number is 323-293-3375. So
before we move on, just one last news item. And that is, in the last 6 days, there have been 7 law enforcement officers killed in the United States. And so, this is the thing that kind of, and it's going to roll into at least the Beyonce thing. For all of the talk of these poor, innocent children being murdered by cops, a couple of these officers, or deputy sheriffs, were targeted. One with a 5150, and you just tactics, The officer gets a call, 5150, acting up in a restaurant. He goes, he sees the guy. He walks in, he sat down next to the guy, trying to be officer friendly. Hey, what's going on, buddy? And the guy just leaned over, pulled the gun, and shot him in the head. That was that for him. Then he gets up and he leaves, and the whole world, everybody's screaming, and the other deputy shows up, and he gets into a shootout with him and loses. They
killed the suspect too. Was it 2 deputies killed and the suspect killed?
Yes.
Is that the final outcome?
The suspect was finally killed by other responding deputies, but he got 2 of them first.
Wow.
The first one, I just don't understand. In some of the stuff that I'm doing currently, we deal with transients and kind of 5150s out there, and gosh, you have to treat everybody, keep them at a distance. I saw another article about law enforcement officers in the 21st century are going to have to learn to take risks.
Right. I
take on more risk. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous job. And until you actually put on a uniform, get into a car, get out on the streets, you will never understand use of force or police work. Well,
the job is risky, and I said that in the post that I made. And shout out to my old buddy Danny Codmer, who is up there at UC Berkeley, my old high school classmate, for sharing that article with me from I think it was Slate.
Yeah,
from Slate.
Slate.com.
This job is fraught with risk, and you understand that coming into it. And if you don't want to have a risky job, then, go learn how to do hair or prepare tax returns. And somebody's got to flip these burgers, and somebody's got to drive these buses and teach these kids. And there's plenty of jobs for you to do that have less risk.
Tax officer at my class said, if you want people to like you, go join the fire department.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, man. Fire department has it good. They really do. I found that out too late in life.
They're heroes.
They have it good. Yeah, I still wouldn't have traded my career for any other career, but they do have it good. But, police officers who want to manage risk either aren't police officers for very long, or they go into some position within the police department where there's less risk. But there's a certain amount of risk.
Where there's more risk.
It depends, right?
You just go, okay, I kind of like this,
So then you go into K-9, you go into SWAT, you go into gang suppression like we did.
Exactly.
We worked gangs together in the late 80s in East LA and Watts and Harbor and the Valley and all that kind of stuff. And man, that was exactly what I wanted to do.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was dangerous, but it was fun dangerous if you can put that together.
Last question regarding the last one, and this is comes to us from Hope. Hey, Hope. The question is...
is that Mrs. Hope?
Yes.
Oh.
If Zimmerman had won the fight, would there have been a crime? So if he hadn't got his ass beat by this 17-year-old, then...
if Zimmerman had won the fight,
would there have been a crime? What would there have been to charge Trayvon Martin with if Zimmerman had won?
There would have been no crime because it was self-defense.
If Zimmerman had won because Trayvon started the fight, you're saying?
Correct. That's correct.
Well, here's the other thing. Dead men tell no tales, right? So if Zimmerman had just won the fight and not actually Zimmerman did win the fight. He just won. He turned it into a gunfight from a fist fight. But had Trayvon Martin survived and been able to tell his side of the story, I'm sure he could have articulated that some, as he said, creepy dude, or I think he said creepy white dude, was following him around. And this is where the confrontation started. Although I think he did go inside and came outside later to confront him, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that.
He went around the building.
Okay.
To get behind him.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good tactics. It's too bad it didn't work out for him. But
right,
tactically, he encircled him.
Hey, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's
I have no sympathy.
Well, I do, because the kid was minding his own business and he was walking home to his father's home. He has done nothing wrong.
If Trayvon had just continued, if he saw a creepy white boy and he's talking to homegirl on the phone and he said, "Man, I'm being followed by a creepy white girl. I better get home and get my dad." If he had just done that, we wouldn't even know their names.
Or they both would be killed. Who knows?
What? By who?
If he's scared of a 17-year-old, he's going to be scared of a 17-year-old and his 40-year-old father. So maybe they both would have been killed. George Zimmerman has shown that he is nothing but a punk-ass thug. Ever since then, he has done nothing but conduct himself like a punk-ass thug, straight up. So now we see who George Zimmerman really is. Okay? Now we see by his conduct since then.
I'm talking about that one case.
Well, I'm just saying, this is who the dude is, though. And that's who he was that night, too.
Whatever he may be or may not, I don't know, because I don't know the dude. All I know are the facts of the case. And when I read the facts of the case...
We're about to judge a whole lot of people we don't know.
And listen to the 911 tapes.
We're about to do some heavy judging on a bunch of people we don't know. Believe me. Okay, so
I hope that answered Hope's question.
Okay, if not, she can call.
Yeah.
Okay, so OJ Simpson this week. What'd you come up with? What did you think? What did they cover? What phase of the trial are we in, or have the murders happened yet, or what?
Jesus, the murders already happened, and last night, it wasn't last night because we DVR'd it, but I watched it last night.
Right.
I think it's the second installment, but it was the slow speed pursuit up the 405.
Oh, that's the one Kent was in. Yeah, Kent Lee was in that pursuit, ladies and gentlemen. That's his claim to fame in law enforcement. He was in that pursuit.
I didn't see no Hell's Angels. I didn't see no Hasantadis.
Right, they didn't put that in the movie, right. Watch the actual news footage, though.
But, it kind of opened with that scene. He's in the Bronco, and people don't know that he's gone, and Bob Kardashian thinks he's killed himself because he left.
Oh, right. A lot of people thought that.
They thought he was dead.
Listen, I still have the original copy of the printout of the APB on Orenthal James Simpson that day, because I walked in a dispatch and they just printed it out. So I went and I got that's my memorabilia from the OJ trial, is I have the original APB that went out on him as a homicide suspect.
So OJ's in the back and he's fondling a handgun, a revolver, in
the back of AC's car, Al Collins. Okay.
And I got to say, Malcolm Jamal Warner, I didn't even know
plays AC?
I didn't know that was him. I didn't even recognize him. He just looks angry. He's an angry AC. I don't know if AC was that angry, but that's the way he's portraying him.
That's our buddy, Grant's buddy.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
They're buddies. Yeah, they ride Harleys together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know he was in the show. Good for him.
Yeah. So anyway, he's in it and he plays AC, and he's just a nose flared, angry AC. I don't know if AC was always mad like that, but so it's that, and then whiny Chris Darden. I don't know if Chris Darden is as whiny in real life as he's being. If I was Chris Darden and I saw the way I'd be offended by the way they're portraying
me. I'm telling you that I felt that way about him, and I voiced that to a mutual friend of ours who's no longer with us, who is friends with Chris Darden.
All right, Pete.
And he really defended Chris Darden as being a very good dude, and he didn't understand why I was saying that about it.
A whiny little.
That's what
girl?
I said. I didn't say girl. I said whiny little, and I didn't say girl. And he took great offense to it, our dearly departed friend, and he really defended the dude. So out of respect for and deference for our dearly departed friend, I'm not going to keep going in on Chris Darden.
So there's one part where, Chris Darden's at his daddy's house, I guess, and it's in South Central somewhere, and he's driving this little piece of shit Toyota. I was like, that's what Chris Darden drove?
Well, prosecutors don't make that much money.
They were working for the dang DA's office.
Yeah, but they don't make that much money starting off. Especially the LA DA's office, because they know that everybody wants to come work there. So they could pay peanuts and people will come work there because it's a good resume builder.
Compared to the rest of the city, I don't think it was peanuts.
Well, what I mean is compared to other DA's offices, they don't make that much money, and they get exploited like that.
So anyway, he's in the backyard, and his neighbors in the other yard. I guess they're watching it on a TV outside.
Oh, okay. Oh, he doesn't even know he's been assigned the case yet, then, right?
He hasn't been.
The case hasn't been filed yet.
No, it's been filed, but he's not involved yet. It's
Okay.
still Marsha Clark and that dude with the beard. I forget his name. But anyway, so his neighbors are they're watching OJ, and he's driving up the freeway, and they're yelling, "Run, OJ, run!"
Right.
And then Chris Darden tries to school him. Why are you cheering for OJ?
Oh, I'm sure he said that.
And then they said, he's and he's running from the cops. They're always chasing black men.
Right.
So then Chris Darden says, well, OJ, when he made all his money, he left. He left the community. He didn't do nothing. Now Jim Brown, he's a hero.
He said they made that distinction.
He made his money, and he stayed in the community. He continued to work. OJ turned white and took off.
Oh, wow, he said that?
Yeah, and then so the neighbor said, well, he's black now because the cops are chasing him.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I did laugh at that, but it's just the story is so hokey, and it's based on the book by Jeffrey Toobin, and based on what I've seen, I would never want to even read that book because I know that I've read other things, and there was some speculation that OJ's son Jason was actually involved.
Yes, I remember that.
There's some speculation about that.
Because Jason was a chef and he was good with knives and all that.
There was some evidence that there was no doubt that OJ was definitely at the crime scene. But who actually did the cutting up and the fighting, that's what was questionable. And some other people think that Jason was involved. I thought they were going to get into that in this.
That's kind of a salacious theory, though.
Well, there's another private investigator who's written another book, and he kind of puts it all together. And his theory is that it's Jason.
Wow. Well, he better hope they never prove it because there's no statute of limitations on murder. So
I don't think anybody's going to go after it. And I think
because everybody feels that they got their man. He's sitting in prison in Nevada for robbery right now.
Yeah, so he ain't going nowhere, and his health is deteriorating in there. So.
Yeah, so do you see how people when they commit murders and they feel guilty about it, how they sabotage themselves for the rest of their lives? George Zimmerman. Okay. Anyway, all right. So now
I got to look to the audience because you lost me there. I needed some help.
I use those two examples there. Okay, so Lee Baca, for those who are unaware, Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Leroy D. Baca Jr., I believe, right?
I don't know.
I believe he's a junior. Leroy Baca was our former sheriff, and he resigned amid a scandal. There was a big probe in the jail by the federal government, and there was moving around of informants, and there was a whole lot of shenanigans on the part of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. There was a big investigation, and he denied some things, denied knowledge, right?
Yes.
Of some things that had happened. I think the federal government had given an informant a cell phone, or they were trying to give him a cell phone, and they kept moving him around so the FBI could never contact the dude. So, Speaking of cell phones, looks like we have a call.
Oh, okay.
You want to get let's take the call, and then we'll jump back into this.
Okay.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Tony calling from Oakland.
Tony calling from Oakland. Speak on it, sir. How can we help you?
Okay, your partner there seems to have the theory that Trayvon Martin was going home and then suddenly decided to attack Zimmerman. I totally don't believe that. I believe that Zimmerman approached him with his bully, cop groupie attitude, got his ass kicked then, and then pulled the gun out. He didn't like black people anyway. He called them coons. They tried to disguise it and say he said goons. Bottom line, he pursued this guy. He's going to show him who's the boss. He got his ass kicked, pulled his gun, and he got back because his father reportedly is someone in politics and has friends, and you know how the jury works. They don't care about that kid dying. They're not going to throw his life away for him. That's how it always works, no matter how they disguise it, no matter how much they sugarcoat it with bullshit.
Well, I agree with you about the part about the man getting his ass whooping and can't take an ass whooping from a kid. And it was a punk coward move, and he pulled his gun. And honestly, I don't think neighborhood watch is even supposed to carry guns. I know certain things you're not even supposed to have guns. So he was wrong from Jump Street for that.
He was a CCW holder for the state.
It doesn't matter. It didn't matter. Like certain when you're doing certain things, you're not supposed to be armed.
Well, he was,
and that's one of them.
When he was driving around that night with his CCW. He was not doing official, quote, neighborhood watch duties, close quote.
Oh,
he was going home, and he sees there'd been a rash of burglaries in the area. The suspect, and
then he got in over his head.
5'9", black and brown, last seen southbound.
And he got in over his head and got his ass whooped. Now I didn't know Tony about anything about his father coming into play. I didn't know anything about his family. I just knew what his story was. I don't disagree with what you're saying about the confrontation.
He's talking about Zimmerman's father.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
We know all about Trayvon Martin's father because he's been in the media. I didn't know anything about Zimmerman's father.
He's a retired judge or something.
Strike you as odd.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy is following him. This is Trayvon's concern is there's this creepy white dude. That's an unpleasant person to be near. So, hey, guess what? I'm going to decide to go attack him when his back is to me. That doesn't make any sense. He's close to home. He could continue home. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he should have went home. That's what he should have done. I
agree.
agree.
He tried, but Zimmerman stopped him, sir. Please stop saying that.
Sorry, I'm sorry, but
well, you know what? Again, I tend to agree that George Zimmerman did get in over his head. We'll never really know. We're both all we got is dueling theories.
Use common sense, and it'll tell you every time. There's no reason for him to see a creepy dude. Creepy is not positive. There's not some guy I'm going to go kick his ass. There's a guy I don't want to be near because he's creepy. But in the same breath, hey, guess what? I changed my mind. I want to go attack him for what? He's going home.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Tony, is that your name?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Sometime this week, I'm going to post links on the Ride Along radio page to the full 911 tape and to the police reports and to the photos. And then so that way you can just see it, you can listen to it, you can read it, and then you can come to your own conclusion.
Cool.
And that's on Facebook, Ride Along Radio Show on Facebook.
I'll do that.
You got it.
Hey, Tony, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the call.
And actually, I should have finished our lead-in with Leroy Baca, but I didn't want to miss that call, and that was a good one. Thank you, Tony.
It was a good call.
Okay.
It's hard, I know it's so hard to accept. People just don't want to accept it. But that's, and I learned this in police work and then later as an investigator. And I'm not just, I'm no cop apologist. If a cop does something wrong, like Leroy did, he should go to jail. He should.
And that's what happened here. So Sheriff Baca was investigated by the Sheriff's Department.
But I want to say I've worked as a law enforcement officer. I've also worked for a number of years as a criminal defense investigator.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And I can tell you that probably 95% of the people who are being arrested for the right crimes, by the right cops, in the right way, following the law and department policy. Every time we get a case, we look at it. Yeah,
right. He did it. Right. Sure.
And then you say,
clear. I think 95% of you being generous. By the way, I mean, I think it's probably a little bit higher than that, but that's just me. And I know that people are
because I've run into maybe a very small percentage of cops who are either lazy or just dismiss things. Or because of discovery, say, well, I found this. If I don't put it in my report, it doesn't exist. If nobody comes to look for it, they'll never find it. I undid a 211 case against a kid.
211 is robbery in California Penal Code section.
Yeah, a juvenile, and all with video. It all occurred and there was video. And so I asked the guy, I said, it was a tire shop, and I said, hey, can I look at your video? He goes, yeah, and he played it for me. I go, wow, it's not like the police report reads. So I said, did the police see this? And he says, yeah. I said, did they get a copy? He said, no. I said, why not? He said, because they didn't know how to get it out of there. I said, oh, do you know how to? He said, I don't know how to do it either. So I called my tech guy. He's like, hey, I need to get video. So he shows up. He goes, I don't know how to get it out of here either. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to film it with my iPhone. With
his own phone, right, exactly.
He played it and filmed it. They played that in court and dismissed the case. That was just laziness.
That's all that was. That's all they had to do.
So there's some of that, but in terms of just
well, we've seen people get framed too. We've seen that. We've seen someone who was a perennial problem. We've seen people get framed.
I haven't. I'm just saying I haven't.
Well, I'm saying in the news. I've never seen somebody get framed in real life. I mean,
never seen it
in the news.
Never saw it.
We have another call. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
My name's Chris, and I'm from Connecticut.
Chris from Connecticut. Are you my favorite firefighter in Connecticut, Chris?
Yes, I am.
All right, man. Sure. Good. I'm glad to have you call the show. It's an honor, sir. How can we help you?
Well, it's a lot of stuff. It's not just really, it's kind of based off what you guys are talking about. And what really struck me was when, I'm not sure what the other host name is.
Gil. That's Gil.
It's actually my first time listening to the show. But, it's not just, I think that's the biggest problem with the other side, per se, when people say they can't sympathize with Trayvon Martin in terms of what happened. And I don't think you can ever justify, no matter what the case is, a child getting killed. I think Trayvon is just a poster child for that situation, but that goes on all the time. Even when I was like 14 years old, I've gotten harassed by police, and I don't think you can ever justify a child getting killed or racism in that matter. I just find it just...
Well, you know what, Chris, in a similar situation, well, not similar, the outcome was similar, was the Tamir Rice shooting in Cleveland.
Exactly.
And we covered that in one of our earlier shows. And we
did a follow-up show.
And we did a follow-up show, too. And there's no fault on that kid was being a kid, okay?
Yeah.
He was doing what I did as a 13-year-old boy. He was doing what a lot of kids do at that age. And it was like a perfect storm of bad shit that lined up, and that kid ended up dead, man. And so,
right. But to get to Chris's point, he just said that there's no way to justify that. Actually, there is. The Tamir Rice shooting is a justified shooting, and as ugly as.
Well, when you say no sympathy, I think that's is that what struck the chord for you? Is the no sympathy comment?
Well, not even just that, but just it's just brought to a solution fast, and I'm pretty much 1,000% sure if it was a bunch of Caucasian, Hispanic, or Asian, or East Indian, or Arab kids getting gunned down in America, it would be probably the biggest issue in the world.
Not Arab kids. Nobody care about them right now, unfortunately.
Well, they don't, but it's not the same as a black kid, and we saw that with the kid that built the clock bomb. Well, not the clock that looked like a bomb.
You were right. The clock bomb. You were right.
It'd be a
it was a scam.
Yeah, it would be a public outcry. It wouldn't be the same as, oh, yeah, another black kid got killed, and as soon as the black kid gets killed, they bring up his rap sheet. Well, he stole something from a corner store when he was 5, and he did this and he did
right,
that.
And unflattering photos from the Facebook profile.
No, you never see the unflattering photos. It's always
no. They put out pictures of Trayvon Martin that wasn't even him. They went and dug up somebody else's unflattering photos and circulated those. So we've seen that. But okay, Chris, appreciate your call, man, and I'm really glad you watch the show, and hopefully you'll continue to watch, and we don't piss you off too bad.
No,
and
of course,
you'll join us again. All right, thanks, Chris.
And I just
and he probably heard the fireman comment too about the.
Oh yeah. But I just want to say this. I just want to close with this for Chris.
Okay.
And that is the difference between the Tamir Rice case and the Trayvon case, and even Michael Brown for that matter. Tamir Rice was innocent. There's no doubt about that. He was.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Just a kid being a kid,
man.
And all those things that occurred all at that moment. The officer did what I think any officer would do under those circumstances, and it is tragic a situation as that is. It is a justification.
And even the officer that we tried to fault by saying he positioned the car wrong, that officer didn't even mean to do that. It skidded on ice. So it's just terrible. So listen, we got a break. We're going to come back and we're going to get right into our topic because we're going to run out of time. But this has been a chock full of action show because there's somebody in particular I want to speak on with that. So 323-293-3375. We'll be right back. All right. Hey, welcome back from the break. Welcome back to the Right Along Radio Show. And those of you who've chosen to jump in the car with us for this hour, we appreciate you. So our topic today is Beyonce Knowles' performance, or Black Panther themed performance, which is
we're done with Lee?
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut right into our thing. Okay. We'll have to get back to Leroy Baca later.
All right.
And there's been
because I just want to say I hope Paul Tanaka's next. That's the guy.
I hear he is.
That's the guy I want to see go to jail.
One of our former co-workers is working at the federal courthouse now, and he saw him in shackles.
Really?
So he's going to.
All right.
Okay. So we had Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, spoke out.
America's mayor.
America's mayor. And all of you, I'm sure you all watched the Super Bowl, or even if you didn't, this was forced upon you, where you saw the big controversy about Beyonce's Black Panther tribute during the halftime show. But if we can get Mayor Giuliani's comments on it, and we'll talk about that after the video.
I think it was outrageous. The halftime show, I thought it was ridiculous anyway. I don't know what the heck it was. A bunch of people like bouncing around and doing strange things.
They look good.
It was terrible.
Rudy Giuliani slams Beyonce's Super Bowl halftime performance. On Fox and Friends, the former mayor of New York took issue with Beyonce's dancers paying homage to the Black Panthers and showing support for the Black Lives Matter movement.
This is
you got to do something at
this is football, not Hollywood. Yeah. And I thought it was really outrageous that she used it as a platform to attack police officers, who are the people who protect her and protect us and keep us alive and what we should be doing. in the African American community, in all communities, is build up respect for police officers.
All right, so that was Rudy Giuliani. We're going to get to another person's comments, another video after this, but we're going to talk about Rudy Giuliani real quick. Gil, you've seen that before, right?
Yes, I've actually seen the formation video.
Right, I saw it when she dropped it.
And then I saw the halftime show, the Super Bowl halftime show. I wasn't actually watching the Super Bowl, but because
since then you've seen it. Sure,
yes, I have, because I didn't understand what all the controversy was about until I saw the video. I understand the controversy about the video, and then I understand the what's his name, Giuliani's position about the message of, trying to, I guess it was the 50th year. It's the 50th year anniversary.
It was the 50th. Here's how this lined up. It was the 50th year. The Black Panthers were founded officially in 1966, so 50
Correct.
years ago, in the Bay Area where the Super Bowl was being played.
Oaktown.
And right now it's February, which is Black History Month. So those three things lined up, and that's why it was deemed appropriate that this was the time to come out and do this. So that's why that
It was
the
deemed
time.
by her, right?
Or whoever, her and whoever said it was cool, because believe me, she don't have the final say. Not
Well,
something like
I don't
that.
know. I think she, if you can get a big name like that, you go, oh, okay. Will you perform? Yeah. Okay. What are you going to do?
Oh, no.
It's
They
going to
do
be
that for free because they sell records.
My latest song. That's what we're going to do.
She's selling records. She's going to, she wanted. They don't get paid to do that because they sell records, so many records as a result of it.
Right, but the TV needs the viewers because it's all in the ratings, and the cost. The ratings determine the cost.
Well, yeah, I go along with that, but I think
Second.
the tail doesn't wag the dog on this one. I think the Super Bowl is the big event that everybody wants to come to. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, anyway, so I understood that, but the way that the FBI characterized the Black Panther Party is they called them a black extremist organization founded in 1966, which advocated the violent overthrow through guerrilla tactics of the United States government. That's why they've always been on the bad side of law enforcement. So I know that they did some great things in the community and
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
I know that they did.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem with that. And I don't even have a problem with the formation turning into a big X, because what the Black Panther Party initially did before they started to advocate the violent overthrow of the government was exactly what Malcolm X advocated, and that is, you got to take care of yourself. The government's not coming. Nobody's coming to save you.
The Black Panther Party the full name is the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. That's how they got started off.
Right.
And they did stuff for the community. Now, do we have the sheriff footage? Okay, so we're going to play somebody else's controversial comments. Another elected official who had some controversial comments about Beyonce's Black Panther dance party at the Super Bowl.
Music video called Formation, and it has been interpreted to be pro Black Lives Matter and potentially looking at issues inside New Orleans as well. There are some sheriffs that reacted poorly to that. They didn't like it. They turned their backs to Beyonce during the Bowl halftime show. What was your thought on the matter?
Well, I try not to overreact to these things, and I don't want to give this thing any more play than it's already getting. Look, musicians have long used their music, their trade, to make political statements in their music. We may not like it, but I don't want to make a huge deal about it. Them coming out, Beyonce, in those Black Panther type uniforms, would that be acceptable if a white band came out in hoods and white sheets in the same sort of fashion? We would be appalled and outraged. The Black Panthers are a subversive hate group in America. I think she could have done a better job, but I think Bruno Mars was a better halftime act anyway. I could have watched him for the entire act.
All right, Sheriff.
Okay, I agree with him on the Bruno Mars thing. I thought he was excellent. He saved the Super Bowl again.
Is that the sheriff from Milwaukee County?
That's the sheriff from Milwaukee County, and that's exactly the person I want to talk about. Now, typically when that sheriff comes out and he says some stuff, and it's he's a pretty conservative guy, and that's his right, and that's cool. And some of the stuff he says, even if I don't agree with it, I believe that he believes it, and therefore I have to respect that. And I as a fellow law enforcement officer, I respect his accomplishments, and I know that what that man must have had to do and how the hard work he put into rising to that position, and that's certainly worthy of respect.
Correct.
Now, having said that, you cannot compare the Black Panthers and the Ku Klux Klan And here's the reasons why. The Ku Klux Klan was created for the purposes of racism. The Ku Klux Klan was born of racism, out of a racist ideology. The Black Panther Party was born in response to racism. The Black Panther Party was started, again, the Black Panther Party, for self-defense. And I know that sheriff has to know that there's no way that he doesn't know that history, especially at his age. I'm 50 years old now, growing up in Los Angeles, being born in 1965. I remember seeing Black Panthers around the city. Mm-hmm. In fact, I have one person in my family who I believe I'll have to call him. He lives in Chicago now. Shout out to Vic. Vic was some involvement with the Black Panther Party. And the Black Panthers were not viewed as a negative entity amongst the younger people. I remember my grandparents not being too happy that Vic was running with those guys because they looked at it as just going to be trouble for him.
Right.
Not that they were viewed as somebody who was doing anything until they start ambushing cops. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, even having said that, even when it got to that point, and this is after Black Panthers were being killed, I think it was Frank Hampton, Fred Hammond was killed basically in his sleep, set up to be murdered. When that kind of thing started happening, then you saw a backlash from the Black Panther Party. But let me say this. The Black Panther Party was founded by people who were very educated. I'm not talking about these idiots, the new Black Panther Party, and that's what I called them because I dealt with them and I was so disappointed because I remember the old Black Panthers and who they were and that they were educated people. They were articulate people. They were enlightened, intellectual people who took this response to the streets and they did good things for the community. But let me say this to the Sheriff Clark. Sheriff, I understand that as law enforcement officers, the Black Panthers would frown upon us for being blacks in uniform back in that day, okay? But keep this in mind, too, when you compare them to the Klan. The Klan would frown upon us, too, as being blacks in law enforcement in uniform. The difference is the Klan would want to get us whether we were in uniform or not, okay? And the Klan is something that went out and killed a whole bunch of people. The Black Panthers haven't racked up anywhere near that kind of a body count. That's just not what they were about. The Klan was about superiority and is about superiority. The Black Panther Party was about equality. There's a big difference. And to compare those two, I think you're wrong as two left shoes. Like I said, usually I respect the dude's opinion, and I still respect the man and what he's done. But on this, he's way off base.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the sheriff because, in today's climate, which has been perpetuated by the Obama administration over the last 7 years, 8 years, almost 8 years now.
Perpetuated or pointed out?
Perpetuated, and he's been the most divisive president in our history. I've never seen a president like this one in my lifetime.
I agree, but I think that's through his very existence.
Let me finish.
I'm just saying I agree with you, but I think that's through his very existence.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's his policies and what he's trying to how he's trying to fundamentally change this country. That's what's at issue. This is how we ended up with a goddamn Marxist on the Democrat side and a reality TV star on the GOP side as the leading contenders.
Well, to be fair to Donald Trump, he's more than that. He ain't much more than that, but he's more than that.
We're split on these two that should not be leading either party. But my point is the reason I'm going to agree with the sheriff is because we had now all of a sudden, Dukes of Hazzard, you can't watch it. General Lee can't talk about it. The dang Confederate flag, you got to take it down. The statue at the university, I forget which university it is over there, where they have a statue of him.
Right, Confederate general. They took them all down. Sure.
They want to take him down. That's ridiculous. If she can go out there and do her thing, which I think she ought to be able to, for God's sakes, and the law enforcement response to her Super Bowl performance is overdone, in my opinion. If you want to be pissed about something, be pissed about the damn video. She's making a statement about law enforcement and Katrina and, don't shoot us. That's the video. This thing at the Super Bowl was dancing that, I don't know what you all call it. I guess that's hip-hop dance. I don't know, but it was choreographed. It looked cool. I get the Black Panther Party thing, it just makes me roll my eyes, actually. But I think the sheriff is right. I think law enforcement is making too big a deal of this thing, and they should just let it go. There shouldn't be any calls for boycott on.
Well, and that's okay. So that's the thing. Number one, just because someone is anti-police brutality doesn't mean that they're anti-police. I think that we should all, police officers and everybody in the community, should be anti-police brutality. Someone speaking out against police brutality doesn't mean they're speaking out against police. I've never met anybody that says that we shouldn't have police.
If you're going to be anti-police, then don't request 30 of them.
No, but she's not anti-police. That's my point. She's not anti-police. She's anti-police brutality. I'm anti-police brutality, aren't you? Yeah. A simple question. Are you anti-police brutality?
What kind of brutality? What are you talking about?
No.
Are you talking
police brutality? Brutality. I didn't say use of force.
Use of force.
I said anti-police brutality.
Excessive force. What are you
brutality?
Talking?
Excessive force is brutality. Yes, that's what I mean. Excessive force.
Excessive force.
Excessive inappropriate force.
Okay.
Are you anti-police brutality in those parameters?
Yes.
Okay. That's what everybody's supposed to be. So that doesn't mean that you're anti-police. Again,
where does the Black Panther Party come in then?
Well, the Black Panther Party is not even a factor anymore. The real Black Panther Party is not even a factor anymore. If she's pro-police,
how come they didn't?
Because they were started as a response to police brutality.
Okay, but how come they didn't? How come she didn't make a formation of an American flag with a blue line?
What does that got to do with anything?
Because then we say, oh, she's pro-police.
Well, we just said, hold on. You don't have to be pro-police. We don't require that of our citizens. I don't care if you're pro-police or not. Don't be anti-police. And I haven't met anybody who says we shouldn't have the police, period. Police
they're
function.
out there. And
they say we shouldn't have any police force?
That's right. And these people from the Black Lives Matter group, they want cops unarmed. Because they're mischaracterizing police use of force.
I've not heard any official statement like that from them.
They are convinced that cops are killing innocent people for nothing, and that's just not true.
Well, it does happen sometimes, and it should never happen, and somebody's supposed to say something about it. Now, I will grant you, and somebody mischaracterized what they said the other day, and somebody tried to call it the Black Lives Matter More movement, and nobody ever said that, and they never said Black Lives Matter More. I think what they should have said, this is marketing now, not that I'm a marketing major.
So there's a couple of things I'm going to have to post.
But marketing, I think they should have said Black Lives Matter too. And then that way you don't have people trying to argue against what you're saying, because people took that and said, well, they're trying to say their lives matter more. They're not saying that.
Well, that's exactly what they're saying.
They're not trying to say it matters more. They're trying to say those are the lives that are in peril. As Chuck Farmer, an Apollo legend, wrote, he said that the fire department is responsible for all houses. All houses are important to the fire department, but they have to prioritize the ones that are on fire right now. And so that's what this is with Black Lives Matter. Everybody's lives are important. All lives matter. But Black lives seem to be the ones that don't matter as much, and that's why they felt they need to do that. But again, I just wish they had said Black Lives Matter too. That would have solved a lot of drama.
If they do matter, they only matter when they're killed by or by white cops. That's when they matter. The rest of the shootings and killings and killing on crime on crime, criminal on criminal, those apparently don't matter.
Well, and I agree. I can't argue with what you're saying, and not that they don't matter, but I think, and I said this, I've been saying this ever since the Black Lives Matter movement kicked up. Black lives have to matter to us first. They have to matter to black people first. And that's a message that I would like that our gangbangers to understand. And we should take that message to them. And then we may have more credence, because some people don't want to accept or believe it. And they're always going to be able to drag that out and point to it to make the whole movement look raggedy.
Right.
So until we as the black community get our act together and stop killing each other, we're going to continue to undermine that message and give people ammunition who want to throw salt on it. So we got to stop that.
The other thing I'm going to post on Ride Along Radio, and I'm going to send you the stuff to post, is the interview with the Black Lives Matter people who are calling for a disarming of the police departments.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, because that's just silliness.
They want no gun. They want they're doing it in the UK. They can do it.
Well, they don't have the gun problem there. But we have another caller. I think we're up for a record tonight. 3 calls in one show. Hey, caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Tony from Oakland. I need to speak to Gil.
Oh, Tony's back.
Tony.
Well, I don't know if that even counts as a third call. Come on, Tony, you're messing our record up, man. We were going for the record. Okay, go ahead, Tony. Send it.
Okay, this is for Gil. All right. Black Lives Matter is a response, as you know, because we are being killed and nothing is being done. No one is saying our lives matter more, and you know that. So please quit saying that that's what it is. You know that's not the case. And like he said, if homes are on fire, the firemen have to put out the ones that are burning. Not that the other ones aren't relevant, but they're doing fine. They're not on fire. We are on fire. No one is saying we're better than. If we thought we were better than, we will be white people.
Wow.
Yes, that's the fact. And I know
whoa, man! I'm glad you didn't drop the phone on that one. Whoa!
I'm just like I'm kind of annoyed when I hear people mischaracterizing and pretending like things are on
Tony,
an equal playing field.
Tony, let me respond. You just mischaracterize what's happening. You started out by saying that we're being killed for no reason and nobody cares, and that's not true. And as I said earlier to George, most of these high-profile shootings that have occurred, that even spawned the Black Lives Matter movement, began with some criminal act and some normal citizen calling the police.
Okay, now you say criminal act. That's actually not true. Somebody might call, just like the guy who called the fake call and said there was a guy in Walmart pointing a gun at everybody, which he did not do. The police came in and killed him just because the guy made
right, that was in Las Vegas or something. I think the kid with the air gun.
I don't want to get off track, but the thing about the Black Lives Matter, we do care when other blacks kill us, and you say people are not telling. If you saw John Gotti kill someone, would you go tell the police if you weren't a cop and then risk you and your family being killed? That's the same fear in that small community. The drug dealers are John Gotti to them. They don't have an option. They can't go to their house in Manhattan. They can't go somewhere else. They have fear. It's legitimate. And police officials are supposed to protect and serve. So when you do something strange like kill us, it sparks a response.
Well, that speaks to my point earlier, and that's why people are so outraged, and more outraged than when a criminal behaves like a criminal. When they perceive the police acting like criminals, they're still outraged. And thank God they're still outraged, because that means people still have some expectation and some respect for us as law enforcement officers. Because if you just accepted it, then we've lost the war once that happened.
However, if you're engaged in some kind of act that even looks criminal to somebody, that causes them to pick up a phone and call 911 and call the police, that person's
being reasonable in the first place.
The police have to come and investigate. And if it involves a gun of some sort, whether it's real or not, the officers have to think and act as if it is a real handgun and that their lives are in danger. And if you don't cooperate,
all that was true.
And if
you're already going to the not cooperating part,
because that's how most of these incidents have begun, with non-cooperation.
He's talking about in Walmart specifically. I don't think that's how that went.
But can we agree that the majority of these cases of these cases,
and I've said it before. Roger Rod said that when he came here, and I've reiterated it. Majority of these instances where people end up killed by the police starts with zero compliance.
That's right.
You have the obligation as a citizen, as part of the social contract.
That's right.
You have the obligation to comply.
You have
when
to comply,
by
Tony.
the police.
You have to comply.
You have the obligation to do that. Now, that doesn't mean. Now, the other part of that social contract is that police officers, we have the obligation to use the minimal amount of force necessary. We do have to accept some risk. That's just part of the job.
Everybody has a right to their day in court. What you don't have a right to do is, at the scene, tell an officer, "Oh yeah, you can't do that.
And I'm not going to jail.
You're under arrest.
And all that.
Oh no, I'm not." Yeah, you don't have a right to do that.
I'm going to get off the phone, but I want to tell you, you look at YouTube videos and you will see the difference when they show white men do that and black men do that. Black men, there is zero tolerance. White men, they'll listen, they'll let them.
Well, let me say this, Tony, and I can only speak from my own experience. Yep. If somebody needed to get snatched up and slammed, I snatched them up and slammed them, and I didn't care what their race was. If they were not being compliant, that I had to deal with them. Now, and I'm only speaking for me, okay? Yep. But that never came into play with me. But I will tell you one instance I had where we went to a car dealership in West LA to serve a search warrant, and the manager acted like he didn't want to cooperate with me. And then I started getting a little aggressive with him, and my partner pulled me to the side and basically said, "Hey, you can't talk to people on this side of town like that." And I went off on my partner. I loved him to death, rest his soul, but I had to go off on him about that because some police officers do have that expectation that people are going to get treated differently. But I didn't care. You know, my handcuffs fit everybody.
I think most cops don't care. I've said this a million times, and every journalist friend of mine that I tell this to, they just can't believe it. Cops don't care about race. We don't care. We don't care what race you are.
Well, some do.
If you're a criminal and you're breaking the law, we want to take you to jail.
Well, some do. Some cops feel like their job is to keep people out of their community who don't belong there too.
Exactly.
If they're victimizing their own community, I agree with that.
Well, no, just like, okay, well, I wish you could have been with me when I was a teenager driving through Beverly Hills on my way to Westwood with some of my friends, and how we used to get screwed with by Beverly Hills PD. I'll say it.
Well, Bill,
that was clear that used to go on.
It must be spectacular, and it must be nice and rosy over there, because mine has never been that way, and I don't know anyone who's lived that carefree life with no problem doing the right thing.
Tony, I grew up on the east side of Los Angeles, brother. And my life has been rosy, okay? Never had a problem with the cops. I've raised kids. My sons have never been arrested. They've never been hassled by the cops. It just doesn't happen because some kinds of behavior are just not tolerated.
Well, growing up in LA as a black man, that wasn't my experience. I did get screwed with when I didn't deserve it. That's just.
Well, would you
just my personal
acknowledge at least that there is a bias where they assume this of one person over another, so you're more likely to have that interaction? If you look for black people to be thieves, you're going to catch black thieves. If you don't look for whites to do steal, you're not going to catch them.
Well, bias enters in anything that we do. There's no doubt about it. We can't say police officers are not biased.
Yeah, but
police officers are humans, and humans have biases. So clearly, yes, Tony.
But Tony, if I was a Hispanic officer and I worked in Watts, which was at the time when I started mostly black. Now the demographics changed as time went on, but so when I worked in Watts and the demographics were mostly African American, guess what? All of my contacts, all of my arrests, all of my use of force were all with African American suspects.
Right.
So that didn't make me. What
if you worked in Beverly Hills and all of your contacts and arrests were blacks, or even half of them, or even 20% when the population of Beverly Hills being black was 3 to 5%? You see what I mean? No, it did go on. It did go on, and again, I was victimized
but Tony's
by
not talking about Beverly Hills. He's not talking about San Marino, where Baca used to live before he goes to federal prison. He's talking about Oakland. We're talking about South Los Angeles, and trying to bring a racial component into police work. It just doesn't fit because that's not how cops work. We don't care what race you are. If you're committing a crime, we want to arrest you. So when white people used to come into the harbor to buy dope from Redondo Beach, Torrance, Manhattan Beach, we hooked them right up and took them to jail just as quick as anybody else.
Well, yeah, okay, that's true.
You can't speak for all cops, Gil.
You can't.
That's right. I cannot.
I guess I can't either.
Say we don't. That's you're kind of coloring it because I know cops that do. I mean, I have families that are cops high up in places in California. I know some things also. I've never had the experience you have, obviously. But trust me when I tell you, as a black man, this shit really does happen and it matters. When I get stopped by the police, I have to worry what kind of cop is going to approach me rather than, this is going to be easy and I'll be on my way. I have to be concerned.
Well, and you know what, and I understand that. And again, I grew up in LA. I grew up in West LA actually, and it was still a factor in my upbringing. And it's unfortunate. But that was the thing. You had to. One of my friends, one of my best friends.
How you doing, Austin?
His mother gave him the whole rundown. He used to keep his registration on the visor so that he wouldn't reach into the glove box to pull his registration down. This guy, law-abiding square bear, went off to the Naval Academy, became an officer in the Marine Corps. The guy never had a ticket, straight up. But his parents were so concerned that this could happen, that he could fall prey, that he was given very specific instructions on what he needed to do.
Remember, Richard Pryor said, "I'm reaching for my wallet."
Exactly, and that's exactly. He didn't make that up.
All right, take it easy, guys.
All right, thanks, dude. All right. So, we're speaking from our experience. Some of those things we talk about, we do have shared experiences in the field. We did work together in the police car, and we both did grow up in Los Angeles. And, we have our experiences. People forget that we weren't always police officers. Mm-hmm. I didn't come on a job until I was 23 years old, okay? So I was a black male growing up in Los Angeles for 23 years prior to ever going into the police academy. So I have those experiences from before that. And guess what? When I get off work and I take my uniform off, in everybody's eyes, I was a black male. And that's all I was, right? So I know what it's like to be followed around in stores. I know what it's like to get undue scrutiny and to have people pull you over and to not really have any reason after you identify yourself as a police officer. I understand that happens. I'm also aware that a lot of the guys that we work with would never say that stuff in front of me or in front of you because, we were both known as people who would speak out against that kind of thing.
That's right.
So a lot of stuff, we never saw anybody get framed either, right?
That's right. I never saw it.
That doesn't mean it didn't happen. It means they didn't do it in front of us.
Because if you did that in front of me, I would hook you up.
Goddamn right. And that's what I'm saying. So it didn't happen in front of us. It didn't mean it didn't happen.
Correct. I'll buy that.
Because
I heard some things. I'll tell you, I heard some stuff.
Oh yeah.
And let me just tell you this: one of the first things every time when I was working narcotics, every time you try to turn somebody into a snitch, back in those days,
cultivate an informant. I like that term, Ben.
Okay. Anyway, that was good. I like that. I just used street lingo. I'm sorry.
Right.
But every time we went to cultivate a CI, the first thing they would say to me is, "Hey, you want a dirty cop?"
Oh, wow.
I know a guy who these two two guys from Harvard Division ended up getting arrested. I know these two guys. They sell dope right out of the car. They selling rock right out the car.
Are you serious?
I said, you better shut your mouth. Don't you ever say that to me again. No, I don't want no goddamn cops. I want a drug dealer.
Wow, I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Well,
and I wish, and now all these years later, now that I'm older and smarter and wiser, I wish that I had said, yeah, give me the cop.
Right.
And I wish I had done the surveillance, and I wish I'd got the goddamn arrest warrant and taken those guys down myself. I wish I would have done it. Because I did arrest a guy for possession of crack cocaine.
that was a copper.
He was
right?
a cop.
Yeah, I remember that story from another agency.
That's right.
Hey, wow, this has been
That's been fun, man.
good, man. We're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. Maybe we should stretch it out. Maybe we should do at least 90 minutes.
Where
from
are
now
we?
on or
Oh,
something.
yeah, shit, we are over.
Wow. All right, cool. Well, hey,
We're going to
guys.
take a break, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thanks for the call, folks. We'll be back next Thursday, which is going to be Thursday, February 18th, right here on the Morris Media Network, Right Along Radio Show. So, hey, thanks for jumping in the car with us. We'll see you next week.
All right.